All right, so we are going to start out our renewal package with the Florida laws and rules. This is going to be part 1, covering Florida Statutes 456 and Florida Statutes 480. All right, as a massage professional in Florida, knowing and understanding the laws and rules is not optional. This is required. Now, too often I see that therapists are going by what somebody else has told them or what the rule used to be from back when they first went to school. The rules are constantly updated, the laws are constantly updated. It's important to stay on top of those changes, okay? A lot of the changes to rule and to law recently were to clarify things, to make them a little bit easier for a layperson who's not a lawyer to be able to understand. And I hope that we keep making progress in that direction, so that these laws don't become such a burden for people to try to interpret for themselves, all right? So this course is going to be a review of not only the current laws and rules as they stand, but also a deep dive into those recent changes and how they affect your massage practice. Now, it is your responsibility as a licensed massage therapist to stay on top of updates to the laws and the rules. And the Board of Massage Therapy makes this very easy on us, okay? You can simply go to the board's website at floridasmassagetherapy.gov, click on the Resources tab, and then drop down to the bottom of the page. You'll see a little box at the bottom that says Subscribe Here. All right, enter in your email address, and anytime there's a new change to law, change to rule, whether it's not specific to massage therapy, but even if it's to any healthcare profession, you'll get an update about that. All right, so save yourself some of the trouble. Go ahead and subscribe to those changes. That'll make things easy for you. And a brief disclaimer. I am not a lawyer. I'm an educator. I've been teaching massage in a couple of different scenarios for about 4 years now. I've been a licensed massage therapist in the state of Florida for a decade now. So I have this background, but I'm not a lawyer. So if you have specific rules about how the laws should be read, should be interpreted, either reach out to staff at the Board of Massage Therapy or reach out to a lawyer, okay? Remember that violating laws can lead to a criminal penalty, such as being arrested, being fined. Violating rules leads to things like citations, also fines, and suspension of your license. But both are serious and both can leave a permanent mark on your career. So we're going to start out here with Florida Statute 456. This chapter is for all professions under the Department of Health and Medical Quality Assurance Division. That Medical Quality Assurance Division oversees 200 different license types for 40 different regulated professions and boards. It includes medical doctors, nurses, dentists, massage therapy, physical therapy, chiropractic, acupuncture, midwifery, all sorts of therapeutic practitioners, okay? A lot of the rules that are within this chapter don't directly apply to massage therapists, and a lot of the laws that are within this chapter will say that it applies to practitioners under further chapters. So it might apply to practitioners under chapters 480, which would be us, the Massage Therapy Practice Act. Those are the ones that we're going to focus on for this particular section, is all of the laws that actually apply to massage therapists. So the first subsection that I want to bring to everyone's awareness is Florida Statute 456.0135, the General Background Screening Provisions, which states that the cost of fingerprint processing, including the cost for retaining fingerprints, shall be borne by the applicant subject to the background screening. That's us, all right? We are the applicants, whether you are applying for an initial massage license or a renewal. Either way, it still counts as an application. And a lot of us are going to be coming up on that second retention here pretty soon, okay? So just be mindful, be on the lookout for that renewal notification that you need to retain those fingerprints. Fingerprints are maintained in that clearinghouse for a period of 5 years at a time, and it's $42 to keep them in there every 5 years, okay? If you neglect to maintain your fingerprints on file, you will need to go back and get re-fingerprinted, which, if you remember from doing it the first time, is anywhere from $85 to $125 depending on where you go. It's much cheaper to keep them in the system. Okay? And I know it seems sometimes like the fees and the costs are never ending, but we really do want to make sure that we keep our practitioner profiles up to date, and that if anything comes through on somebody's background check, if someone is arrested, that's going to show up for the Board of Massage Therapy to be able to review, and to see if there does need to be disciplinary action against that license. Okay? In addition to that is the 456.035, the address of record. You as the licensee are responsible for notifying the department in writing of your current mailing address and place of practice. Okay, this is where those renewal notifications are going to be sent. So make sure that you have these on file. Otherwise, you're not going to know that your renewal is coming up. All right, you're not going to know that your fingerprints are about to expire. Similarly, the one right below that, Florida Statute 456.038, renewal and cancellation notices, simply says that at least 90 days before the end of the licensure cycle, the department will forward a licensure renewal notification to that known address of record. Okay? Now be aware, in writing doesn't mean it has to be handwritten and sent via snail mail with a stamp on it and the whole 9 yards. You can go to the Department of Health Medical Quality Assurance website and change your address there through the licensing portal, or if you're already on the Florida Board of Massage Therapy website, that floridasmassagetherapy.gov, you can find the information there as well. Okay? I spent a lot of time on the Florida Massage Board website. It's a great one. I really do recommend it. Click around through it when you have some time. There's a lot of information on there. All right. Next two that I want to bring to everyone's attention are 456.054, which prohibits kickbacks. Now, if you don't know what a kickback is, I will read you the legal definition from this subsection, which says the term kickback means a remuneration or payment by or on behalf of a provider of healthcare services or items to any person as an incentive or inducement to refer patients for past or future services or items when the payment is not tax deductible as an ordinary and necessary expense. Okay. It also states that it is unlawful for any healthcare provider to offer, pay, solicit, or receive a kickback, whether directly or indirectly, overtly or covertly, in cash or in kind, for referring or soliciting patients. Okay, so that directly, indirectly, overtly, covertly, in cash or in kind. We want to be really careful there. You know, if somebody knows that I really love to go see Broadway shows and they know that they can't give me tickets to the Broadway show as a remuneration, as payment for having referred clients to them, but they give those tickets to my partner, who of course would take me to that show, that still counts if it's kind of given in that idea of this is in exchange for those clients that were referred over. Okay, so we want to be really, really careful about kickbacks. It includes cash, gifts, services. All right, no referral fees. We can't be doing incentives for referrals. We want to be really, really careful about that as far as referring and soliciting patients. Okay. Also, 456.065 is the penalty for giving false information. That's false information to the department or to the board. Okay, so please do not lie on your license applications. Please do not lie on your renewal forms. If you're looking to get a massage establishment, please do not lie on any of those application forms. All right. Very often, if you lie on that form, they will just deny your application altogether. And if you do happen to give them false information, it's a third-degree felony if you're caught. So we don't want to set ourselves up for that. All right, our next two here, 456.057 is ownership of control of patient records, as far as report or copies of records to be furnished, and disclosures of information. This section really does deal with confidentiality and who can see a patient's records. All right. The records owner is you as that healthcare practitioner. So you want to make sure that you are not just following those HIPAA compliance rules, which most of this is going to fall under, But we also want to make sure that we're not leaving those documents out where just anybody can see them. And that we're keeping control of them, all right? That kind of falls on us as massage therapists to make sure that those documents aren't just laying around where anybody could find them, okay? Now, those documents can be released to patients. If they request their personal documents, you absolutely can give them their personal documents. If there is an investigation from like Department of Children and Family Services regarding abuse or neglect, those records might be requested, and there could be a subpoena for your records as well. So for all of those, yes, there is a carve out that those are exemptions, but if you are in any of those situations, I would definitely reach out to a lawyer for further information, just to make sure that you're following the procedures the way you need to be doing. The duty to notify, 456.057, states that every licensed healthcare practitioner shall inform each patient in person about adverse incidents that result in serious harm to the patient. Okay, so if somehow something happens in your massage treatment room where you accidentally burn a client with a hot stone or hot bamboo or a towel or anything like that, we need to make sure that we are informing the patient that there was an incident. We need to be doing an actual incident form. We want to make sure that we're giving them the full understanding so that they have that informed consent before we're going to use any of those kind of treatments as well. Okay, so if there is a risk of serious harm, we want to make sure that we're informing them of that prior to the treatment so that they can have that specific informed consent that they do want to continue with that particular treatment. All right. Our next two here are 456.063, sexual misconduct, and 456.0635, healthcare fraud, both of which, no surprise, absolutely prohibited in the massage therapy practice, okay? And frankly, again, because this chapter of statute deals with all health professions and occupations, this goes for everybody, all right? Everybody who's in healthcare, all of those 200 licenses, nobody is allowed to commit healthcare fraud or sexual misconduct, okay? Now, sexual misconduct has a very broad definition under this law. The more broad a definition, the more things can fit under it, okay? So you want to be aware of what the law actually states so that we make sure to stay within our particular scope of practice, okay? One of the other things that I like about both of these laws here is that there is a subsection that says that licensed healthcare practitioners will report allegations of either sexual misconduct or healthcare fraud to the department, regardless of practice setting in which the alleged violation occurred. Okay, so it's not just your responsibility to act appropriately yourself, but if you see something happening or if you are concerned that something is happening in someone else's practice, it's your responsibility to say something there as well. All right. Now, I told you the definition for sexual misconduct was broad. I'm just going to read out the first section for you here out of the law. Again, if you're super interested, the link to the actual law is in the course notes here, or it can always be found on the Florida's Massage Therapy website, Board of Massage website. So, sexual misconduct in the practice of a healthcare profession means violation of the professional relationship through which the healthcare practitioner uses such relationship to engage or attempt to engage the patient or client or an immediate family member, guardian, or representative of the patient or client, or to induce or attempt to induce such person to engage in verbal or physical sexual activity outside the scope of the professional practice of such healthcare profession. Sexual misconduct in the practice of a healthcare profession is prohibited. All right, so it is a violation for any verbal or physical sexual activity outside the scope of professional practice, what a reasonable other healthcare practitioner would consider normal and within safe boundaries. All right? Anything verbal, anything physical, not just with the patient, but with the patient's immediate family member, guardian, or their representative. All right? The next section here, the last one of 456 that we're going to touch on, is the complementary or alternative healthcare treatments. A lot of our massage therapy in the last few years has been moving towards a more medical-minded treatment as opposed to strictly spa relaxation-minded treatments. Both are valid. Both are absolutely fantastic for a variety of clientele, and how you practice is entirely up to you and what makes the most sense for your practice. But in 2021, there were some changes made to law which allows us to now really come in as healthcare practitioners in full. All right. So if you are going to be providing massage therapy as a complementary healthcare treatment or as an alternative healthcare treatment, the Department of Health wants to make sure that you're being held to that same standard as every other healthcare professional. Okay? So the intent on the complementary alternative healthcare treatment law says that, citizens, clients should be able to make informed choices for any type of healthcare they deem to be an effective option for treating disease, pain, injury, deformity, or other physical or mental condition. All right? It also states that it is the intent for clients to be able to choose from all healthcare options, including the prevailing or conventional treatment methods, as well as other treatments designed to complement or substitute for prevailing or conventional treatment methods. And it is the intent of the legislature that healthcare practitioners be able to offer complementary or alternative healthcare treatments with the same requirements, provisions, and liabilities as those associated with the prevailing or conventional treatment methods. All right, so again, it's just holding complementary medicine to the same standard of practice as conventional medicine, which again just really solidifies us as healthcare practitioners and healthcare providers, and not solely relegated to this idea of, oh, massage is only for relaxation, it's only a luxury. We're still under Department of Health. We are healthcare providers. We can provide massage as an alternative healthcare treatment. Okay. This gets further broken down in Florida Statute 480 in order to really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of how that applies in massage therapy. But if you are going to be providing massage as an alternative healthcare treatment, as a complementary healthcare treatment, I do recommend that you go ahead and read this particular section, even if you don't read all of this law. Read at least the 456.41 to really get all of the information, because it has requirements as far as how to communicate your treatment alternatives, how to maintain records, all of those. So we want to make sure that if you're going to be providing massage as a healthcare alternative, that you're making sure to include all of those in your practice. All right, so that wraps up 456, the statute which covers all Department of Health practitioners. We're going to move now to Florida Statute 480, the Massage Therapy Practice Act. House Bill 245, which was passed in 2021, changed a lot of the language for this law. All right, and it added the word therapy after the word massage pretty much throughout the entire law. Again, it's just elevating our status as healthcare practitioners, that massage truly is a therapy. All right, this is a therapeutic healthcare practice. So that's 480 right there. And Florida Statute 480, the Massage Therapy Practice Act, again, this is on the law side of things, so this generates the framework that the rules are then going to be created from, okay? The intent of this law as stated by the legislature, says that the legislature recognizes the practice of massage therapy is potentially dangerous to the public, in that massage therapists must have a knowledge of anatomy and physiology and an understanding of the relationship between the structure and the function of the tissues being treated and the total function of the body. Massage therapy is a therapeutic healthcare practice, and regulations are necessary to protect the public from unqualified practitioners. It is therefore deemed necessary in the interest of public health, safety, and welfare to regulate the practice of massage therapy in the state. However, restrictions shall be imposed to the extent necessary to protect the public from significant and discernible danger to health, and yet not in such a manner which will unreasonably affect the competitive market. All right, so some new things in there. Again, adding the word therapy after the word massage throughout, and that addition of saying that massage therapy is a therapeutic healthcare practice. All right, again, just really elevating our profession to be on par with the rest of the Department of Health practitioners. Because there were some changes, the definitions changed a lot as well, okay? Including our definition of what massage therapy is. We have now included knee to the definition of massage therapy. They've also added in massage therapy assessment. They've changed the apprentice language. So there were a lot of changes to the definitions here. Anytime you go to read a law, the very first section of every law is dedicated to definitions to make sure that when you're referencing the rest of the law, when you're reading through the rest of the law, you understand these basic terms that are very specific to that law, okay? So in our Massage Therapy Practice Act, anytime we're using the term massage therapy, it means the manipulation of the soft tissues of the human body with the hand, foot, knee, arm, or elbow, regardless of whether such manipulation is aided by hydrotherapy, including colonic irrigation, or thermal therapy, any electrical or mechanical device, or the application to the human body of a chemical or herbal preparation. Our scope of practice here is broad, and that's good because that means that as many modalities as possible can fit underneath it. If there's not a reason why we are manipulating soft tissue, because if there was a reason why we were doing it, then we might have to, get rid of some of our practice modalities. It simply says that we are manipulating soft tissues of human bodies with our bodies, with our hands, feet, knees, arms, or elbows, okay? So we're not going to be able to manipulate anybody's muscles with your forehead. Please don't be doing that, all right? But as long as you're using acceptable body parts, you're totally fine. We can always use hydrotherapy or thermal therapy being your heat therapy. You can use any electrical or mechanical device, all right? So anything as far as a vibrational mat or vibrational tool, a percussion device, any of your TENS units, brain blank there. Those all kind of go under that electrical or mechanical device. Or the application to the human body of chemical or herbal preparation. So that kind of gives us that freedom, that leeway to do things like mud masks, seaweed masks, any of those kind of body wraps. That applies to those chemical and herbal preparations there, okay? Also, massage therapy assessment was recently added in here, all right? And massage therapy assessment, as you see there, means the determination of the course of massage therapy treatment. All right, so again, just kind of bringing massage in line with the other boards that are underneath the Department of Health, that there needs to be an assessment before we perform our treatments. The other big change that was made to our definitions was the definition of an apprentice. Okay, now this one touches on a couple things here. So the new definition for apprentice means a person approved by the board to study colonic irrigation under the instruction of a licensed massage therapist practicing colonic irrigation. there was a change to rule made that all apprentices for massage therapy could finish out their apprenticeship and then apply for licensure, but they all needed to be finished by July 1st of 2023. So as of this recording, as of this going out, there are no more active massage therapy apprenticeships. All right, and everyone who was previously in that massage therapy apprentice program must have finished their apprenticeship by July 1st of 2023. There are still apprenticeship options for those who want to do colonic irrigation as a method of hydrotherapy. All right, so that is still an apprenticeship availability. Other than that, in the definitions, nothing else really changed. They did have to add in the definition for a designated establishment manager. That was actually added in last renewal cycle, so hopefully you got that update from the last Florida law review that you did for your last renewal cycle. And we're going to deep dive into designated establishment managers, DEMs, here in just a little bit. All right, so our first big section of Florida Statute 480, or Massage Therapy Practice Act, that I want to highlight is 480.043, which relates to massage establishments and all of the rules surrounding what an establishment needs, has to have, can do, can't do, all of that. Okay? Now again, the laws tend to be framework. There will be further rules that we'll look at that go into the nitty-gritty of how this happens. But per law, massage establishments cannot operate without a license. All right, that license is granted by the department in accordance with rules that are adopted by the board. All right, so massage establishments follow the rules that have been adopted by the board in order to be granted a license by the Department of Health. Massage establishment owners have to undergo the same kind of background screening that licensed massage therapists have to undergo. All right, and they will be denied they will be denied approval if they have any similar criminal history to what a massage therapist who might be denied their license would be. So reasons for denial are convictions of false imprisonment, kidnapping, sexual battery, human smuggling, human trafficking, basically anything related to prostitution, computer pornography, selling and buying of minors. If there's any kind of conviction like that in an establishment owner's past, or in a potential establishment owner's past, they will not be granted a massage establishment license. Okay? Because of that, because each owner has to undergo background screening specifically, establishment licenses don't get transferred from one person to another. All right, if you are done running your establishment, you're ready to retire, and you want to just pass the business off to, your favorite massage therapist who's been working there for years, they would need to apply with the department to become an establishment owner before you can even think about changing your business over. All right, you can't just change that establishment license from one person to another. You can, however, move the location of your massage establishment. So, if you find a bigger, better location, if you're ready to expand, as long as you get that new location inspected by the Department of Health and they give you the green light, as soon as that's done, you can go ahead and move your establishment over. All right? Do not practice in the new location until that new location has been inspected. All right? And your establishment name can absolutely be changed as well. It's a $25 fee, but you can definitely change your license name, your establishment name, excuse me. I do recommend changing it on Sunbiz before you change it with the Department of Health, however, just to make sure that you have that piece out of the way. Sunbiz.org, change it there before going in to change it with the Department of Health. All right. All right, now again, as a condition of licensure, this is subsection 12 out of 480.043. As a condition of licensure, a massage establishment must have a designated establishment manager. The designated establishment manager is responsible for complying with all requirements related to operating the establishment in this section and shall practice at the establishment for which he or she has been designated. If you are running a solo practice, you as the massage establishment owner may also be the designated establishment manager. You don't have to assign a second person, okay? But if you are a not massage therapist establishment owner, you absolutely need to name a DEM. They should have all been named by January 1st of 2020. All right, so any establishment that was licensed prior to 2019, they were all notified that they needed to identify a designated establishment manager by January 1st of 2020. And there are absolutely cases coming through discipline cases from the Board of Massage Therapy right now of establishments who failed to name an establishment manager by that date. All right. They're taking it seriously, and this DEM, this designated establishment manager, is responsible for making sure that that establishment runs the way that it's supposed to. All right, so it is an important role. The last little subsection of 480.043 says that by January 1st of 2021, a massage establishment shall have implemented a procedure for reporting suspected human trafficking to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and shall post in a conspicuous place in the establishment a sign with the relevant provisions of the reporting procedure. All right, so that should have already been done before the end of last renewal cycle. If you are at an establishment that does not have your human trafficking reporting procedure in place, I am going to highly recommend that you get that done quick, fast, and in a hurry. All right. The person responsible for making sure that that got done was that DEM. All right. So those designated establishment managers, again, have to work in the establishment for which they are named as DEM, and they're responsible for making sure that every massage therapist who works in that location is duly licensed. They're responsible for making sure that the human trafficking protocols are in place, that the appropriate signage is listed, that the establishment is following all of the laws and rules that govern massage establishments. Okay, it's a big job. So as an establishment owner, please make sure you are naming the correct person to that position. All right, you don't want it to be somebody who doesn't have that attention to detail, doesn't know where to find that information. As an establishment owner, you'd go online to identify that DEM, and then that massage therapist that you name as DEM is notified by the Department of Health so that they are aware that they have been made the designated establishment manager of that establishment. All right. As an LMT, you can choose to remove yourself as DEM. And if you leave that location, you must notify the Department of Health that you've left that establishment and that you will no longer be serving as their DEM. Okay. So LMTs can remove themselves as DEM, but cannot add themselves as DEM. Again, it's all an online process. It's fairly simple to go through. You just want to make sure that it gets done and that it stays updated. You know, at a franchise spa, day spa that has a person who's like a lead massage therapist, who's been there for years and years and years, that's probably a great person to be your DEM. If you're in a solo practice and it's just you and maybe, 2 or 3 other people who kind of rent space from you, but they're not there all the time, you probably want yourself to be that DEM as well as establishment owner. All right, so take this seriously and make sure that this person is taking their job seriously, that extra role seriously as DEM. All right, dropping down into 480.0475, the prohibited practices of massage establishments. This is one that pretty much gets touched on, kind of when you're first in school about what you cannot do in an establishment, and then a lot of us kind of forget about it. So I just wanted to put in this reminder that massage establishments cannot operate between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. with some exceptions. All right. The three big exceptions there are unless it is located on the premises of a healthcare facility, hotel, motel, bed and breakfast, or inn, or in a public airport. All right, so if it is you're flying out to Las Vegas on the red-eye flight, and you see that the in-airport massage establishment is still open at 2 a.m., it's not automatically a violation. You don't need to be calling the health department about them. They are granted an exception there. All right. Also, every massage performed between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., if performed by a massage therapist acting under prescription of a physician. So if for whatever reason that's the only time that patient can be seen and it is under prescription of a physician, you can operate between midnight and 5 a.m. And then the last one for establishments, as far as exceptions to that rule or that law goes, is if it is a special event and the county or municipality in which the establishment operates has an approval for that special event. All right, so if you are working in a festival area, if your establishment is set up and there's going to be an all-night street festival, and you want your massage establishment to be open during that festival time, but it runs until, 2 o'clock in the morning, as long as you get the approval of the county or the municipality to stay open that late, you're golden. All right. This massage establishment law also has a section that says that massage establishments may not be used as a principal domicile unless the establishment is zoned for residential use under local ordinance. And I can tell you right now, from the inspections that I've seen Department of Health do, if they see that it looks like people are living there, if it looks like it is acting as a residential area, and it's not zoned for that appropriately, they are going to assume human smuggling is happening. All right, they're going to assume that there is some human trafficking happen. So make sure that you are keeping those two things very separate. If you are in a zoning area and your massage establishment is part of your main residence, just make sure that those two things are very separate so you don't end up in that weird gray area. All right. All right. 480.0485 reiterates the sexual misconduct is prohibited. Okay. For this one, I'm just going to go ahead and put that whole law up. Massage therapist-patient relationship is founded on mutual trust. Sexual misconduct in the practice of massage therapy means violation of the massage therapist-patient relationship through which the massage therapist uses that relationship to induce or attempt to induce the patient to engage or attempt to engage the patient in sexual activity outside the scope of practice or the scope of generally accepted examination or treatment of the patient. Sexual misconduct in the practice of massage therapy is prohibited. This is just a reiteration of what we saw in Florida Statute 456, that sexual misconduct in any Department of Health practitioner is not okay. 480.046 lays out the violations that come under the purview of the board rather than the purview of the Department of Health. All right. So if you are found to be in violation of these things on the list, you will have your license acted against by the board in addition to anything that you're getting down from the Department of Health, which would be a violation of law. All right. So all of these would end up having kind of you get double tapped on them. So having your massage license revoked or acted on, suspended, disciplined in another state, territory, or country. So if you've got dual licenses, you're practicing in Florida, but you still hold your Georgia license or your Alabama license or whatever it may be. If your Georgia license gets acted on, if your Georgia license is suspended, if your Georgia license gets disciplined, your Florida license will also be disciplined or acted against in some way. All right. Being convicted of or found guilty of any crime which directly relates to the practice of massage therapy, any pleas of no contest count as being found guilty. Any false, deceptive, or misleading advertising. Advertising specifically to engage in unlawful sexual misconduct also gets you disciplined. Aiding, assisting, or advising any unlicensed person to practice massage therapy. All right. Of course, any sexual misconduct. Failure to practice massage therapy, and specifically in that one, the law says being unable to practice massage therapy with reasonable skill and safety by reason of illness or use of alcohol, drugs, narcotics, chemicals, or any other type of material, or as a result of any mental or physical condition. So if you are in such a bad headspace that you cannot practice massage safely, please do not. All right? For whatever reason. If you have an illness, if you have an injury, if you're under the influence of alcohol, drugs, narcotics, chemicals, or any other type of material, please do not practice massage. All right? Sleep it off. Do it the next day. Of course, practicing beyond your scope of practice, and also practicing any skill that you know you are not competent to perform. So if a client says, hey, I keep hearing about this bamboo massage stuff and I picked up a set of bamboo sticks, can you just try it out on me? No, you cannot, according to law, because you are not competent to perform that skill. All right. And of course, failing to keep equipment clean and sanitary. That is also will get you set up for disciplinary action by the board. Or practicing massage at a site, location, or place which is not duly licensed as a massage establishment. All right. Do not practice massage outside of massage establishments. Except, because of course there's always exemptions, mobile massage can be provided at a client's house or workplace, at sporting events, at conventions, and at trade shows. Again, as long as you have the permission of those organizers. All right? Don't just show up to a random convention with your massage chair and think that you're going to be good to go. Make sure that you get the approval of that convention holder, the trade show operator, or that sporting events arena manager. All right? The last section of Florida Statute 480 that I want to detail for you today is the penalties. Hooray! So, penalties defines the criminal charges that will be brought against someone who violates anything in our Practice Act. Okay? Again, this is in addition to any discipline that the board imposes. It is also a misdemeanor of the first degree to do any of these things here. Pretending to be a licensed massage therapist before you're actually licensed. So for any student massage therapist, they need to clarify that they are a student massage therapist. All right, they can't introduce themselves as a massage therapist. They could be a massage therapist in training or a student massage therapist, but they can't hold themselves out to be a massage therapist yet, not until that license is generated. Operating any massage establishment that is not duly licensed, employing anyone to practice massage who is unlicensed, presenting your license as the license of somebody else, allowing your license to be used by an unlicensed person, impersonating a license holder who has a very similar name as you, using a license that has already been revoked. Any of those kind of things are going to be a misdemeanor of the first degree, in addition to any discipline that the board would bring down against that license. All right, that concludes our look at the laws, Florida Statute 456 and Florida Statute 480. Again, the complete laws can be found on the Board of Massage Therapy website or at onlinesunshine.gov. You can find them there. We're going to go ahead and close down this video, follow along to the next, and that'll take us into our rules.